Welcome once again into a fresh new episode of Inside LAFC podcast. I am Max Bretos, as always, joined by Stephen Beitashour. Beta, we were supposed to recap the game at Houston on Sunday. It didn't happen because they have something that we haven't had in LA in a while, rain and lots of it. And I'm afraid we have a track record with Houston weather. It's come up again.
Yeah, I think they've been holding this one off from 2018 when they were in town in LA, and we had that huge delay. The rain came in. I think they've been waiting. There's a little bit of payback from way back then. They didn't forget.
Yeah, and all kidding aside, I mean, obviously it's people down there in South Texas going through a lot. It was a hurricane. There's no way this team or this game could have gone forward. They will reschedule at a later date. We'll talk about that and what it means in the big picture. Also want to let you know we have Mati Bogusz joining us in a little bit. We'll talk about what the reason for his success, what it was like on 4th of July. A lot to unpack there. But Beta, let's talk about the heavy weather in Houston indeed, as this is a game that I think after 4th of July, you had this high, right? You had this incredible high. I imagine the players across the board like, oh, we're going. It's Houston in July. And then you add on to this happening, so they know they're going into this literally the eye of the storm, and it's got to be very difficult to overcome that. So it's got to be very difficult. Take me into that situation as a player, sitting in a hotel, dealing with weather, not knowing when you're going to kick off or if you're going to kick off a game.
Yeah, these games are difficult to get up for. You're just coming off of the 4th of July game. The El Tráfico against Galaxy, biggest rival in front of 70-something thousand. Those are easy games to get up for. These ones, they're tough. The Houston in July, everyone knows the heat in Texas in the summer months is just unbearable. And so now you're going into a game and you got this weather delay. I've been part of some weather delays. I've been part of some that just got canceled like this. It's no fun. There's no real way to prepare for it. Whether you're a starter, whether you're a sub, a lot of guys, they drink coffee later in the day to prepare themselves for that late match, right? So you're not drinking coffee in the morning. You're kind of just holding off. So now it's like, well, I had my coffee at whatever time, 4 or 5 o'clock before game. Now, how long's the caffeine buzz going to hit? I ate my pregame meal 3.5 hours before the match. Well, now how long till I have to refuel to get those carbs for the energy? There's all this stuff going through your head, through the sport and science team's heads, the trainers. When do we warm up? Do you guys just relax? So much that's just like, can we just start the game? And then something like this happens where it gets canceled. It's a little frustrating as a former player. Thankfully, I don't have to deal with it anymore. But I know for those guys, it's just not fun either side, for Houston or for LAFC.
I'm just glad I heard about the coffee protocol. This is really interesting. Hey, wait a minute, I might need another cup.
Yeah,
And look,
yeah.
this is a coffee drinking team, thanks to Giorgio Chiellini. They have that espresso machine, so I'm sure they're all looking for that little kick in the pants, so to speak.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. The nap, when you take your pregame nap, when you do your pregame meal, and then when you start your warm-ups, sometimes they warm up and then all of a sudden the weather delay comes in. I don't think this is the case, but then you have to cool back down. Then you have to warm up. It's a whole you have certain times where you're supposed to do things to be at your peak performance, and it just throws everything out of whack. Yeah.
When this is the second big weather event that LFC's had to deal with it. We can remember back in March, the snowpocalypse in Utah, a game that probably should have been postponed as well. And I know when you're a team and you make the trip, you don't want to postpone. You've already made the trip. You guys probably thinking, let's play this game at any cost to a degree. You don't want to go into a huge hurricane level storm. You don't want to go into 2 feet of snow. But what is that process like? You guys are like, let's get this game because we know we're going to have to come back here probably at a time that's going to be very inconvenient. So
you definitely want to just play the game, whether it's a couple hours later, hopefully not that long, or even the next morning. Like, hey, let's just stick around. Let's play it the next morning. Obviously, fans kind of, it's a short end of the stick for them because they wanted to come to the game and now they probably can't. But as players, especially as the away team, you don't want to come back. You don't want to do this whole process again, the whole flight and, being away from your family. You just want to go play that game. You don't even care about the result at that point. Just get it over with.
Yeah, no word yet as to the rescheduling, but there's not a lot of places to put it. And remember, it's got to work for LAFC. It's got to work for Houston. We don't know how that moves. It's probably pension on the U.S. Open Cup. All those things are coming into play. We'll find out more details. And disappointing for because the lineup came out and it was a great opportunity. Tommy Angel, we talked about and was a guest here a couple of weeks ago. He was in the starting 11. You figure with Olivier Giroud and Kai Kamar, a starting spot for him is going to be tough to come by. David Martinez, who's been out since March, was in the starting 11. That was a chance for him to showcase how his progress has gone. And Abraham Romero, who is the backup goalkeeper, got a chance. That's got to, I mean, that was the positive for me when you see those guys. And now they have to hopefully find another time where those one, if not all three, can play.
You definitely were excited to see those guys get into the potential starting lineup, and it's a great opportunity for them to showcase. They've been ready, they've been chomping at the bits, waiting for their moment, and then here it comes, and then the weather delay. So you definitely feel for those guys, but hopefully there is another moment, because in July there are a lot of games coming up. So hopefully there's another moment where Steve Trundle will have an opportunity to rotate the lineup and get those guys back in, because the few times that we have seen some of those guys, they've looked good, so they deserve their chance. So you'd hope that they get another one.
I wanted to ask you about something you said earlier about rescheduling your nap, because what I've discovered is you players like your sleep, right? Because when I called the Salt Lake game and they said we're going back to the hotel, and Timothy Tillman goes, "Oh, I'm gonna get my nap in," and I go, "How much do you sleep?" He goes, "A fair bit." What is it? Were you an 8-hour guy? Were you more or less?
No. Usually I was, so if kickoff was 7:30, usually my nap would be around 2:00. Pre-game meal is always 3.5 hours before, so that's when you just have a ton of carbs just for those fast, quick energy hits. But
what's a nap? An hour?
If I could, an hour, I would love that. Usually I can only sleep for maybe 20 to 30 minutes. So if I could, I would love to get an hour. But some people are different. I've had roommates on the road in the past where they can sleep for 60 to 90 minutes, no problem. And I'm just over here like trying to stay quiet, trying to be respectful. but yeah, it's one of those things. Whatever you can get, if you can get 15, 20 minutes, great. Just to rest, lay down. Don't be walking around. Don't be all tired, so that you're fresh for the game.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. We had not last year, but the year before, so 2022, we had like I think 6 games in Colorado that were weather delayed. 3 of them got canceled, and there was one game the guys were cracking up because it was like a 2-3 hour delay. And I'm laying down on the treatment table with the medical staff, and I got one of the blankets on me, and I'm like trying to snooze, and guys are cracking up. Everyone does their own thing. Some people listen to music. Some guys are playing, soccer, tennis. Some guys are just in the gym, staying loose. I was like, well, I'm not starting this game, so I'm just gonna go lay down real quick. So everyone has their own tactics. It's fun.
Right on.
Yeah.
But life on the road's hard, especially with weather. So keep that in mind. A lot of guys they're stuck in their rooms. Sometimes they're stuck in the rooms while your roommate's sleeping.
Yep.
Beta.
Yeah.
Can't win.
Yeah. It's tough life.
Beta, there was a silver lining here. And not really, but sort of. But the guys got back late Sunday night, almost technically Monday morning, I believe. So they were lucky to get out of Houston because it was a severe weather event. And so nothing really good. And they have a 2-game week coming into this. But they are still unbeaten in 10 MLS games. And perhaps Houston, as challenging as it was, and you're not playing your full throttle team, maybe this was a place where it to drop. Maybe it wasn't. But what we can say that goes on. So is this starting to grow in mythology? I mean, because LAFC I saw was number 1 in the MLS power rankings. Everyone's loving them. Everyone's talking about how far they can go. And they still got this. That carries some weight, right? Maybe the coaches downplay it, but the players are like, yeah, we got that.
It definitely carries some weight. They will downplay it as well, as they should. And now the streak continues. I think everyone can agree. You can look at that lineup against Houston, and that was a rotational lineup. We all know that. So now maybe the next game they get the starters back and they can continue the streak. So there's pros and cons to every situation. So this is definitely, let's look on the bright side. Now they can continue that unbeaten streak, continue that confidence. But eventually, you want the streak to end. You don't want to go unbeaten all the way, hopefully, to MLS Cup final. So at some point, you need to lose. You need to be like, okay, let's start the next streak. But right now, the guys have to be riding high for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Get that loss out of your system, like in July or August.
Yeah. A little bit later.
September.
System. Yeah.
Because you want to know, you still got to be somewhat fresh when you start the playoffs, which will be October, November.
Exactly.
And there you have it. So we'll talk about their next MLS game, which is a doozy. We'll preview that a little bit later as they take on the Columbus Crew, as you know, a rematch of MLS Cup 2023. Have you been watching a lot of Copa America and the Euros, Beta? Have you had some time?
Oh, yeah. Definitely been watching some really good games. There's been a couple snoozers out there, too. But anytime it goes to penalties, it gets exciting again. So some good matches.
Penalties. I've been penaltied out, but it's been good matches.
Yeah.
2 LAFC players still involved, the LAFC internationals. Now we're recording this on Tuesday, and Olivier Giroud in France will play later. And then Wednesday, Kike Oliveira will be playing with Uruguay against Colombia. Olivier Giroud's played a very small role, but still being part of that. I mean, he's been there and done that so many times. Mm-hmm. And you have Kike Oliveira, who played in the USA Uruguay game. He came in very early. They had to make a injury sub, so he's put a stamp on it. Just however it ends, maybe Uruguay and France lift the trophies at the end, and they're going to come back to LAFC. Well, just put yourself in a teammate's shoes, what that might mean for even if it ends in the semifinal stage, what that means for the club at large, that you had 2 guys in the two biggest soccer competitions outside of the World Cup coming back to the fold.
It's a great opportunity for the club to say that we had guys representing us at, the biggest stage. And both are phenomenal players, and both will get support not just from the club, but also their teammates. The guys are cheering them on, they're watching at home. They're like, man, I hope he gets in. I hope he plays. I hope they win. As much as you want them back with you, you want them to go as far as possible. And to be fair, I had France and Uruguay for Euros, for Copa America. Those are my 2 finalists. So they're still doing well. I had Colombia and Uruguay before the tournament started. I'm like, those are my 2 teams that I just think they're so good. And watching them, they just look so fast and exciting to watch and energetic. And then France, they're just, that team is stacked, man. That team is so good. And so
they can't score goals. Maybe they need Giroud.
Yeah, maybe they do. They haven't scored 1 goal, in the run of play. Is that right?
Open play. And again, you might be hearing this, and they could score 5 goals against Spain, and all's well in the kingdom against.
Yeah, well, Spain's going to have a tough time because they have half their squad out for suspension now. So I think they're kind of rooting for penalties. I know some teams go for it. Uruguay got a little lucky against who was it? I'm drawing a blank. The last game where they got the red card. Brazil against Brazil. They had the red card. They got a little fortunate going into penalties and winning. So, but that's the game for you. When you're in a playoff format like this, it's not about the 90 minutes. Sometimes it's just about surviving, get the penalties, and that's a coin flip.
And we hope Kike keeps going, because it's great for him and it's good for the club, because it's a young player and an investment that they made, and it's been one good story after another. Another young player who's, as an investment's going through, and I know people are freaking out, is he going to leave LAFC? It's Mati Bogusz, and Bogusz ball is taking a life of its own. And we're going to be talking to him in a little bit, so I figured we'd bring it back here again. Let's go back to 4th of July, and we've seen this guy do so many things. He's still the leader in MLS in free kicks. He is scoring goals from outside the area, and now he was scoring them from inside. And now he had the assist for Kai Kamara on that amazing goal that was scored in the Clásico. So we keep seeing new layers to this guy. It keeps getting more impressive. We're waiting for him to take a dip. Hasn't happened yet.
He for me, again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. You can't take anything away from Bouanga. Incredible year again. But for me, MVP's got to be Bogusz for LAFC this year. Just coming out of nowhere, just scoring goals, getting assists week after week in different manners, tap-ins, outside the box, free kicks. He does it all. He does it all. And one thing, I'd like to ask him would be, which position do you really like to play if you can choose? Because he's moved around and he's excelled at all of them. So really, really exciting player to watch, and hopefully he continues it.
Beta, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. I think I can get that question in for you.
Please do. Please do. Because
what position do you prefer? I'm sure.
Ask him, what position do you really prefer if you could choose? Because he's doing everything so well.
We kept doing this false nine, and Kai Kamar has been amazing.
Yep.
And I don't know if he's going to play that position again. I think those days are done.
Yeah.
Whether he enjoys it or not, you have Kai, who's proven to be amazing with his back to goal. You have Giroud. You have some options, and now even Tommy Angel is pushing. So, as good as he could be there, maybe his days are numbered at that position.
Good problems. It's some good problems.
First world problems, baby.
Toronto, they've got some good problems on their hands.
Let's talk about the month of July, the fixture crunch, and that is 8 games this month, which began against the Galaxy. We can take a game away because the Dynamo game is going to be rescheduled, but they still traveled. That counts. This is, you do the math. A month, 4 weeks, 8 games. That's 2 a week. This is how would someone prepare for this? Knowing that, and there's travel.
You know how I just talked slightly in depth about one game being delayed in Houston and all the prep that goes into that one game? Now put 8 of those in a month. You're not even training. It's just game, recover, prepare, game, recover, the entire month. It's a logistical nightmare for players, for staff, for everyone involved. It's not fun. I've had my fair share of them. Usually it's 1 month throughout the year that are just, whether it's Open Cup or Champions League or, Campeones Cup, whatever. There's just a ton of games in 1 month, and it always happens every year. And right now for LAFC, this is it. Unfortunate. It's also very hot right now. So not a great time of year, but there's no real way to prepare for this. What you're doing for your recovery is super important after every game. So getting home, get in bed early, ice baths, roll out, eat super healthy, and just try to get going again. But it's not fun. I'm telling you, as a former player, this is the worst part of the year.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
What was your least favorite month? Was it July? Because keep in mind, the league has changed a bit with Leagues Cup, but July, everyone's supposed to take a little break. We're all like kind of in vacation mode, and then you get 8 games. Is that?
Yeah, I would say roughly here, June, July, or August, depending on when all the games were crammed in. Those are my least favorite, because beginning of the year, you're excited, right? The season's starting. End of the year, you're excited because now you're going into the playoffs and hopefully you're flying high. It's the middle, the middle stretch that's mentally, physically exhausting. You're just trying to get through it. And right now with all these games for LAFC, it's going to be a mental and physical grind. And so hopefully I'll come out of it. I think number one priority is health. You always want to keep your guys healthy. And Gavin, I've mentioned a few times, does a phenomenal job keeping the team performing at a high level.
Gavin needs a break too.
And he needs a break. He needs a break. So everyone wants a little break, but unfortunately they're not getting it right now. This
is the time when players from overseas come and you tell them about all the challenges of MLS. You go, hey, July.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to like it. It's going to be hard.
No.
We're going to have to get through it.
The travel, the heat, the amount of games. Yeah. But it is what it is. You just deal with it. Get on.
Yeah. Needless to say, I don't think they're going to reschedule the Houston game in July. We'll see for a later date because there's nowhere to put it.
Nowhere to put it.
Hey, let's talk about the game coming up this weekend. MLS Cup rematch. It's a big deal when Columbus play LAFC. The conversation is the black and gold colors. Columbus now says they're black and gold. They used to say it was yellow and gold. I don't know what that's all about.
Yellow. They're yellow.
It's yellow.
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. It was never gold.
Gold they should have thought of that from the beginning. Gold, all due respect to the color yellow.
Yes.
Gold just sounds a lot cooler.
It is cooler.
Unless it's the yellow submarine. The Beatles made it cool. But then it should have been the gold submarine.
Yeah. They missed it. Too late.
They missed it. They blew it. The Beatles blew it.
Yeah.
So here we go. Everyone will remember I was there for the MLS Cup, and to me, it was one of the best games. Everything, just the city was overtaken by the game, which you never really see. And Columbus is a little smaller than some of the LA or New York or Chicago or whatever, but you felt it every step. You want banners, everyone in colors, huge traveling support. Columbus really hard to take it away. Were the better team, and they won that day. So obviously LAFC wants to get one back. Eyes will be on this matchup, not just because it was last year's final, but these are the two hottest teams in MLS right now. The Columbus Crew, since they lost to Pachuca in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, 5 wins in 6. The one loss was to Inter Miami. In those 5 wins, 18 goals. They like the ball. They are a tough out. Thoughts on this game and what it means, how it's going to resonate?
First off, you have to give credit to Wilfred Nancy. He's done a phenomenal job over there, even at Montreal before he came to Columbus. He's a great coach, and I hear a lot of talk about, will he go to the U.S. men's national team? Because he's done a great job. The players play for him. They play for each other. They like the ball. You mentioned it. It's a fun, exciting form of football that they play. So he's doing a great job. But there's a couple players over there that you also have to mention with Diego Rossi, Christian Ramirez, and they're balling out. Cucho, they're balling out. And so they have a very good team as well. I think, it will be an MLS Cup rematch from last year. Great game. Columbus did deserve it. They played well. They had a great year. Now it's a little redemption time for LAFC. But I'm going to go a step forward and say this is a little preview for another MLS Cup this year. These are my two teams, again, that are they're so well-rounded. They're complete from top to bottom. They've got depth. There's not a weak spot on either team. And so it's going to be a fun matchup coming up, but it's also going to be a preview, in my opinion, for MLS Cup this year.
MLS has been great at the top. You have 3 teams in the East that have pulled away: Cincinnati, Miami, Columbus. Columbus is starting to pull away. And then you have LAFC, Real Salt Lake, and the Galaxy. I think it'd be any combination of that, but any of these combinations of those 3 teams would be cool. Hopefully it's LAFC against one of those. LAFC and Miami, we've talked about it, would be the biggest, but this would be great too. And this is going to be a really fun game because they both play positive football. You mentioned Wilfred Nancy, and this we don't know what's going on with U.S. Soccer and Greg Berhalter, but these rumors that he would be interested. The other one is they said Steve Cherundolo, and I don't think both of these coaches to me are the best in MLS. I mean, we talk about these teams, but these are the coaches that are not just getting the most out of their team, but they're part of the scouting, the development of players. You can see what they're doing with young players. They have a great eye for talent, and it's a big reason. So it's going to be fun on the field, but on the sidelines too. I mean, these are the best, not just coaching prospects. I think best coaches overall in the league.
I agree. They've done a phenomenal job, and when you do well, you're sought after. And so the U.S. men's national team is obviously in a bit of a bind with Berhalter, if they're going to keep him or not. And there's rumors. There's always going to be rumors. And rightfully so. Wilfred and Steve Cherundolo, their names are popping up because they're doing a phenomenal job. Their teams are playing well. Everyone buys into how they play. It's attractive football. It's enjoyable to watch. As a fan, there's certain teams where you're just like, they might get results, but it's not fun to watch. LAFC, Columbus, those are fun games to watch. So it's going to be an exciting matchup for sure coming up.
These coaches, I don't know nothing about nothing, but I think they really love where they are at and love what they do with the club as opposed to a national team that they get to do every day and train. And as long as they haven't too many weather delays, but you can't control that. Hey, before we wrap it up, because I know Maddie's waiting, the return of Diego Rossi. I mean, I don't want this to be buried in this huge game because this is a big deal. I mean, we think about the beginning. It was Carlos and Diego. Diego scored the first goal. Before he could even celebrate, Beta was on top of him doing all the celebrating. How do you think that? I mean, I think it's going to be a really nice moment.
Question for you. Do the 3252 still do the chant for Diego Rossi first goal? Do they still do that? What was it? The 21st minute or something?
They're going to – I don't want to tell them what to do because they do a great job without any advice.
I bet
you they thought about it.
I think because Diego didn't go straight to Columbus Crew, he went to Europe, came, back. I wonder if they'll do that for him. It'd be interesting because Diego, for anyone that doesn't know, is a phenomenal human being. Forget soccer. He's a great soccer player. We all know this. He is one of my favorite people outside of soccer. Just a very humble, down to earth, respectful kid. He's a little older now, but when he came to LAFC, I remember we grabbed coffee, maybe preseason 2018 before the season started, and he had just gotten married, and so he's showing me the pictures at their wedding and stuff. I'm like, man, this guy's so mature, so humble, and he came in, from Penarol with some high standards, so he could be big time and like, oh, I'm the big guy here with obviously Carlos Vela, but he didn't. He was super humble and respectful, and so I always wish him well wherever he goes. I wish him well because he's a good person.
Very well said. And I hope I hear that song because it was a great song. Oh, yeah. Diego Rossi, he scored the first goal against the Sounders.
Yeah.
Scored the first goal. Diego Rossi. Maybe we'll hear it. Another reason to watch.
Yep.
Be at the game or MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Great stuff, Beta. Go get your nap.
Yes. And, if I had a game, I can't nap anymore. I have no more excuses. I need to keep playing. I got kids. Yeah.
No more naps. Enjoy them when you can, young people.
Yeah.
We will be back here on Inside LAFC Podcast to join by the one and only Mati Bogusz will be here to talk about his journey to the top.
Inside LAFC Podcast is presented by Freeway Insurance. Driving savings.
Welcome back to Inside LAFC Podcast. A gentleman I'm sure everyone wanted to hear from who has, I would imagine, playing some of his best football of his career. Mati Bogusz joins us. Recently crowned MLS Player of the Month for June. What do you get for that? They send you a trophy or?
I still waiting, I need to ask Alonso or someone if they give anything for this, but I still didn't receive nothing,
What was your reaction when you heard that? Because that's a whole month of playing well. This is not man of the match, a whole month.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised because I didn't get the match day players when I score my hat trick. So yeah, I was a little bit surprised, but as well, I had amazing moves. So I'm really happy that I received this.
Let's go back a little bit because you had the hat trick. And I asked you at the time, it was your first professional hat trick. Had you scored a hat trick when you were playing as a young man in Poland or anything prior?
Yeah. Of course, when I was young, I scored a lot of goals. I played number 9, so I was scoring a lot of goals. So yeah, I scored hat trick before, but this was my first professional.
And is it safe to say, because we followed your career and you've been spending time at Leeds and then on loan in some places, is this the best football of your career?
Yeah, I'm agree. I'm working very hard to be at this moment in my career, So I really respect what I achieved these couple months. But it's just beginning. I want play even better, and I will be work even more to perform better. I'm not stop it. I'm not like okay, I score a couple of goals and I'm good. No, I want to play better and, perform every game.
One thing about you, Mati, is I know you want to deflect. You're doing well. You want to say it's a team thing. But you really did, after the hat trick, there's video of you in the locker room and you're saying, hey, guys, let's beat the Galaxy. And you went on to beat the Galaxy. Just being part of that team effort and focusing on the results. Why is that so important to you?
Now, especially now, because we play every 3 days. So one game is finished, you need to start thinking about next one. Of course, you have your free time when you don't think about soccer. Sorry, Glory America. But derby game is very important. We knew what is coming on Thursday, so we were right after the game start focusing on the game on Thursday, and I think that's why we performed very well on Thursday. Because it was a very tough game. We play at home. We have a lot of our fans, but Galaxy hosts the game, So we were in very hard position before the game, but we did it,
After the Galaxy game, I'm curious, who made you guys, or what was the reaction to go to the supporters and share that moment? Because that was amazing, where you guys were in there jumping and singing and dancing with them. How did that moment come about?
For this type of moment, you're waiting sometimes all the season when you win the trophy or something, but versus Galaxy, you can say like we won a small trophy because always beat the opponent in the derby is something special. So yeah, this is the best. This is the best moment in the football when you won the game, you can enjoy with the fans. It's really nice.
What was that night like? You had the fireworks, you had the Rose Bowl. I'm sure it was an interesting ride home for all you guys. How was it?
No, it was amazing. Like this day, 4th of July, we played in front of 70,000 people. We have our fans as well in the stadium. I don't know how many, but it was a lot. So yeah, amazing day. I will remember that for sure. And finally we won in Rose Bowl, because last two games we lose, unfortunately. Versus Monterrey and Galaxy. So yeah, finally we won, and let's go for the next one.
That's a great answer, Mati. Something you mentioned about the travel, because European players come here and they can't be used to not only being on a plane all the time. They're used to 2 games a week, but getting on a plane and going to a place that's completely different than the city that you were at, whether it's heat or altitude. It usually takes a while for guys to adapt. You've done it pretty well. What have you been able to do to prepare for these games, to prepare for this travel, so that you're not taken by surprise?
When I was in Ibiza, I used to fly as well a lot, because this is the island. So every game away, we travel as well. We fly. So I didn't have a problem. It's just about the distance, because the flight is not like hour or two. Sometimes take 4 or even 5 if we play on the, I don't know, Philadelphia or somewhere there. So yeah, it's hard, but if you take care about your body, if you are mentally prepared, what you want to do, I think it's much easier. Especially we have good teams, so we spend the time together. We play some games, some cards. So I like travel.
Nice. Is there a city you've enjoyed? I know you don't see a lot of the city, but there's something you've seen on your travels that you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm in the United States.
How it look. We are in the plane, then we go to the bus, then we're in the hotel. So maybe in the game day we go walk a little bit for maybe 20-30 minutes, so I can see the downtown or something. But you can't discover a lot.
I'll just ask you about what's the nice airport next time, because that's probably it's the life of a pro soccer player.
I think at the moment the best one is Atlanta. It was so big.
So you like it? You see, that is a massive.
I like. I just saw it was huge.
You're like me, man. You see airplanes, you go, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that place. But we're flying all the time the same, so I can't say.
One day I'm going to ask you about your Ibiza road trips. That'd be a lot of fun. But that was part of your development. Now you're here playing so well. I want to talk about the goals a little bit, because I spoke to Coach Cherundolo, and he said we wanted to get Mati sometimes closer to goal. So you've scored goals from long range. You've had free kick goals, and then there was a time where you're getting goals inside. When you're looking at to get yourself in the best position, what goes through your mind when you see something and you want to score?
To be honest, now I don't know. It's very hard where I feel the best. Long time I didn't play on the middle, where I feel really nice. Now I start playing on the winger, and how the coach said is good for me, because I'm closer to the goal. So I had much more chances, especially how we play, because we all the time play on the edge. So I can cross, I can shoot, I can dribbling. So I really like this position. I think I will feel the most comfortable on the position like number 8 or number 10, like offensive midfielder, because then I can pass, I can shoot, I can be between the lines. But it's not my choice. I need to just play. The coach decides where he put me on the field. I just need to perform, So we are going good all, I playing on the left, right in the number 9, and it's working. So I don't want to complain. I don't want to.
You gotta have to think it's good for you as a player to show that I can do all these positions.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But my co-host Stephen Beitashour wanted me to ask you, what is your favorite position? Is it the false 9? Is it the not the false 9, the 9? Is it the wing, left or right? But you just said it. You prefer to be somewhere in that midfield as an 8 role. That's a preference.
Maybe 8 or 10. Like offensive midfielder. I think I will feel the most comfortable.
And you're pretty good with both feet. How important is that for you as well to get into those good positions?
When I was young, I always suffered my left foot. Then I started practicing a little bit the finishings, the passings. So I think now got a little bit better. And when I play on the winger, especially help me, because let's say I play on the right, I can go on the right and shoot, but as well I can cut inside and shoot with my left. So this helping me a lot. But when you play on the middle, I think you need both foot because you never know where you're gonna be in the middle, and you need to use both. So I think it's very important.
It hasn't been just goals for you and the assists, and particularly the one against the Galaxy. What's it like seeing what Kai Kamara? We talk about you and Denny and what a great partnership. And I think what's great about you is that you've proven you could do good things with so many different players. But with Kai and being able to help him reach the 147 goals, what does that mean to you?
No, I'm very happy that I helped him, but he scored the goals. I just passed him, but he need to still finish. But the funny thing is, like he always saying, like when I'm on the field, just cross the ball in the box, just cross the ball and don't think about the rest. I'm gonna do what I can, and you can see the last, I think 2 or 3 goals. I'm just crossing in to the box, and he's always there. He's jumping so high. I think versus Galaxy, he jumped over the defender when he scored the goal. So, that is crazy. I'm very close with Kai. We have good contact, so we understand each other. So that's working.
We got to all talk to Kai. I'm a lot older than all you guys. We all got to talk to Kai about when you're 39 years old. How do you stay inside? That has to amaze you to see a guy, because normally we'd say 39 you're slowing down. He's not slowing down.
No, he's taking care of his body. You can see that. So I wish I have 39 and I look like him.
You're going to be fine, Mati. You got to give yourself some credit for those passes. Those are nice. And you're set. You're still the top free kick goal scorer in MLS. You have 2. No one has more than that. And now the corner kicks too is another wrinkle to your game.
It's much easier when you have Kai in the field,
You can't see this guy.
No, but we are working a lot with the set pieces. Practice. I think if we have a time, but we will have a time. We all the time working of the set pieces, corner kick, the free kick. So I think that's work after.
You were the June Player of the Month. What would it mean to be on the All-Star team? I know they're close to putting the team together, and I know this is something that's unfamiliar to a Polish player who played in England and Spain. Hugo and Denny are on there. You're very deserving. I would put you on there. But what would that mean to get acknowledged like that?
No, I'm just agree. They didn't choose me, and I'm okay. I have a lot of game here in LA, so maybe it should be like that. We play now every three days. So for me, the most important is play for the club. To perform good for the club. But of course, if they call me, I will go and I will play. But if not, no problem. I wish all the best for Denny and Hugo to perform well there, and I hope they come back and we're gonna play again.
Well, we'd like to keep you here, so we'll be quiet about it, Mati. Yeah. Hey, the people love you, Mati. I don't know if you noticed, but the LAFC fan base it's to see someone they didn't know about, and now you're part of their songs and their moments. So I know it's very nice for you to join us here today. And I'm going to look forward to seeing that relationship between you and the team and the supporters continue to grow.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on June Player of the Month. Mati Bogusz joining us here on Inside LAFC Podcast. That's all the time we have. We'll be back again next week as we wrap up the Columbus Crew game. Make sure you check out the podcast here on YouTube or where all podcasts are available. Until next time, we'll see you soon.